for that. As I said, this is a special Communion Sunday in a variety of ways. Every Communion Sunday is special. It's a time where we both remember what Christ has done for us on the cross, which we're going to be doing a little bit later on in the service, but we also take time at Grace to hear how God is working in the life of the church. What's the Spirit doing in people's lives? And one of those stories, which we want to give some extended time to tell this morning, is the way that God has worked in the life of Andrew Rodriguez and in Justin Wiley and Bob Kratz. Bob can't be here this morning, but Justin and Andrew can be. So we want to invite you two guys up, and I'm going to be interviewing them for a little bit of time to hear what they have to say about what God's been doing. Let's give them a hand as they come up. Okay, so just to start off, I think a lot of us are aware of this story, or at least some elements of the story. But Andrew, just to bring people up to speed, for people who aren't as aware of this journey you've been on for quite a while now and how it began and started to involve Grace Community Church.
So when you ask about the idea of the journey, I would say the whole journey is umbrellaed by the fact of how God is faithful and kind in ways you never expect. So in kind of thinking through some things in preparation for this, I realized that this all started about 10 years ago here at Grace when my family and I first attended. And if you excuse me for a minute, I'm going to get the clicker.
Clicker's here.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't ready. Okay. And so it all started when these guys were this size and these ages. You got Matthew, who was 7, Ryan, who was 5, Noel, who was 4, Emily, who was 3. And literally the week before I found out that I had kidney disease, God gave us the joy of giving us a dog. So we had all kinds of chaos going on in our lives at the time. And so that's where it really began, was 10 years ago. We were here at Grace. And what I think about with that is the idea that God was providing the means before I even knew I needed them. Because it wasn't until a few months after where we found out that I had kidney disease. The doctor had called us, and the news was pretty overwhelming because before this, it wasn't like this was ever on our radar. And what was really hard to hear is he said, if this had gone undetected, you would have been in kidney failure in 5 years. I was 32 at the time, pretty healthy. And so that was overwhelming. I remember he had given us some medicine to go pick up at CVS that night. And I remember driving, I remember bawling, and just really like trying to ask God, like, try to understand this. So it was pretty hard at first. And then we started, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, and I'm trying to do this without crying, and I hope Justin does it first.
No, you're definitely crying first. We talked about it, so you have to cry first.
So we started I started a regimen of medicine that was supposed to help put it into remission and kind of slow the progression of the disease. And by God's kindness and grace, that happened. It was able to be slowed. It was able to be put in remission. And for a while, we're doing great. And if you would have seen me or known me, or if you would have asked me, there was nothing I was feeling, nothing in my body that was going on that was letting me know there was a problem. It was really just coming in through blood work that was found, or at times when someone, like one of my kids or Gisela, would have gotten a cold and gotten sick for a day or two, I would have been sick for a week. It could hospitalize me. So it was really impacting me in those days where I could see that. And then I would keep going to the doctor, and the doctor would do every 6-month checks, and he'd be like, you're doing great. Let's keep the medicine. Let's keep the routine. And I remember there was one day I had taken the half day of work in the morning to go do the appointment, and my doctor did something different. He showed me his computer. Now, I'm not a math guy, right? I don't like numbers or charts or anything. but I know how to read a chart when the line starts up here and it just drops. And that was kidney function. And what he was showing me is that currently the way the blood work was working or showing is I'm heading into the realm of needing dialysis and needing kidney transplant. And I remember driving in the truck, heading back to work and calling Gisela and just completely overwhelmed and like trying to wrap my mind around this. And I remember the conversation because Gisela was like, listen, God's already taken care of us up to this point. And he's going to continue to take care of us moving forward. And that was something that we were really holding on to the promises that God had made. One of those, I believe it's the next picture, was this. And this is one in our family that has really stood for a long time with us. We've really held on to these, especially during this time of this journey, was the idea that the Lord is good and he does good. Yes, I was sick. Yes, I wasn't feeling well. Yes, I had this disease and we had these things going on. But through it all, he is good and he does good. And we were holding on to that truth. Even when we made the decision, Gisela and I, that we were going to then transfer our care from our current doctor to Penn Medicine for the next stage, which would have been dialysis and kidney transplant. And it's at this point when we decided to transfer where I started to notice more physical things going on in my body that were making it hard for the day-to-day stuff. The kidney disease was starting to take the effect to a point where the kidney function was hitting down to about 15-20%. And so what that did to my body is I would be at work and I'm a teacher, fourth grade teacher. By 12 o'clock, I'm shot. I'm done. I've got nothing left. I've got to plow through to about 4 o'clock. And then I would get home and I would just go to sleep on the couch. There would be events, night events, Noel's basketball or boys baseball, or the boys wanted to play a catch or do something. And I either had to like will myself to go do it, or I had to say I couldn't. Like I was completely affected by this in the way where I couldn't do the things I loved. I couldn't do the things I wanted to. And that's really hard. I'm the kind of dad who likes to be go, go, go. I like to do everything. I like to be involved in everybody's life. And here, this disease is impacting to a point where I can't even do that. Seeing my kids see me that way, I hated it. I'm just being honest. I wasn't angry at God because I fully trusted in him. I knew he loved me. But hating it was just like, this is hard. This is tough. It was at that point to where the Penn Medicine team decided that they wanted to put me on the list for kidney transplant, get on the waiting list. And the reason was because they were seeing these physical signs along with the blood work, and they decided, let's at least get you on the list, because this is where it really struck me. They said, it can take up to 8 to 10 years to hopefully find a match. And they also said that people who are willing to help might not be able to physically help. And people who physically want to do it might not be able to do it because they're not a match. So in other words, there are a plethora of things that have to all be connected and go right in so many different ways for you to have the match with the possibility of a kidney. At that point, that was overwhelming because I'm feeling awful. It almost feels like it's just a cycle of like no end in sight. And now I'm hearing that there's going to be this next step of length where I don't know how this is going to work out. But again, that theme of God provides the means when I don't even know that there's the means, which really kind of leads us to our next point of the story where it involves this guy. God, and I let him share a story, but that's where it leads into Justin, so I'll stop there.
Before we go to Justin, real quick, am I right that a lot of people began responding once they learned about your need, to the extent that it was a little bit surprising to some of the people involved?
So when we first put out the need to people and we put it out on, there's the National Kidney Foundation where they have set up like a microsite to kind of put it out. Yeah, we had heard that that Penn Medicine was actually turning away people or telling them to pause because it was because so many people were coming forward, and there were people that I didn't even know that were coming forward. That was amazing, because it was God reminding me, I have this more than you could ever have this. Like, I already know what I'm doing. You just have to sit and rest and wait with me. And so that was pretty incredible to hear.
So Justin, maybe you can share about kind of when you first heard about Andrew, and also what God was already doing in your own heart and mind.
Yeah, like Andrew was saying, this started a long, long time ago. He taught my kids. I've taught his kids. We've been in this community together since you joined, I've been here. So this story really did start 10 years ago. And it's amazing how so many people responded, just this community we're a part of, and how they've responded to his family, my family, just all the prayer that went into this whole situation. But really, how it all started was Andrew got up in front of the church. I remember he was sharing. I was in the back. And I just remember hearing him share, and just this wave came over me, and it was like, I can do this. I had this feeling of peace from the start, and I felt God calling me to do this and serve in this way. And it's just, it's weird. I mean, certain people are like, talk about doing fun things, going on vacations, doing those things. For me, donating was like a fun thing to do. I don't know how else to describe it. I know it's weird. I know it's odd, but that lets me know that God's behind it, because he instilled this will. He instilled this peace in me, and I felt so confident, too, through the whole thing. Didn't I emailed you like, I got this or something stupid like that?
I was looking through emails a couple months ago just to kind of remember the story, and he had emailed me that week, okay, and said, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm feeling God's leading me to it. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but we're going to see what he does. And then a week later, he emails saying, hey, I already filled out the paperwork. I'm on the process. I'm starting it. And we didn't even give anybody information. He researched it on his own, completely. And I remember at the time being like, I don't even know how to say thank you, because I'm basically saying thank you for giving me your body part. And that's very hard to do, but it was just like, even on top of that, just looking back, the love and the kindness and his talk about like fun, like his willingness to do this. He'd be like, let's do it. I'm ready today. I could do it. Let's go do it. Was pretty evident and amazing. So I just wanted to add that.
No, and I think just the opportunity to serve in this way has been amazing for me. I mean, you don't get opportunities like this. So I remember just praying. I wanted to be the one to donate.
Yeah.
So.
Now, as you were sensing that call, given what you had already said about like the chances of getting a match, it was by no means certain that there would be a match, right? And so maybe you guys could say a little bit more about the odds and then what you discovered as you went down this path.
Yeah, so I think the odds of being a non-blood relative to donate, it's like 1 in 200,000. And then I think we have about 100 members here. So then you think about being one of the members in the church, going to the same church. That increases. I'm not good with numbers, but I mean, it's astounding how odd this was. And then even, like, my kidney was like a perfect fit, too, I think. Right. I don't even think they had to really do much. It just kind of slid in there. So that...
I appreciate the medical terminology.
Yeah, highly medical. But it's just...
He is married to a pen.
I am. And I think that's the other cool thing is my wife while this was going on, had actually seen a transplant, actually saw his doctor perform the transplant. So along the way, there was all these little things that kind of led up to this. I mean, that was one. You know, us, even like you being part of this community, us being part of this community, it's, the Lord really prepared me, I feel like, for this, and it was just, it just always made sense. Like, it's weird, and I always had this peace, even through doing all the testing. Even, I remember the one time I spent time in Africa, and they wanted to do this weird test to test me if I had like some weird bug or something, I forget. Again, another medical term that I'm botching. But I remember thinking, I don't have this, why do I have to go through this? And it took like the doctor took forever to show up. I think I was waiting for like an hour. And at one point I was like, should I just get up and leave? And then I was like, I can't do that. I was like, this is way too important. And just, it was never really a struggle. I think that was the only struggle I had, was waiting for appointments. But it just goes to show that the Lord was through it all, even through, I was working downtown, so for me to go to UPenn, it was like a 10, 15-minute walk. So even that, it's like all these things are lining up, and it's like you take a look, and it's like you see God's hand in every little detail, and it's like, how can you not say yes to going through with it? And again, this isn't me, it's God putting this in my heart, and just the way he's been able to use me has been amazing.
And if I can add to that, the amount of testing they have to do to see for matching, one of the things that's incredible too is we're part of what we call the 15% club. And so basically what that is there is a gene, or there's something in me that I never experienced that's not in my DNA when I was a kid, like a normal, like common cold that 90% of the population normally get. And I never got it, which means that I was a better match with someone else who never got it as well.
Yeah.
Justin, in this church of this size, with all the numbers of possibilities, also never got it when he was a kid. So not even 10 years ago, but at the start of our lives, the way God has orchestrated things and provided means, and we didn't even know that the means were needed. That's another cool factor that we had heard, which he was in the race with my brother-in-law, Henry, and they were both fighting to give me their kidney, if you ever talk to them.
I mean, I won.
He
so
won.
I was happy about that.
But that 15% pretty much sealed the deal. And it's just like God's way of saying, not only am I doing this, but I'm doing this in a way where you know it was me and he gets all the glory. It really shows that way. So just to add to that.
And what was God, I imagine, with this long journey you've been on, when you learned that match was there? You know, what was God doing, and what were you learning as a family? Because this was a journey you were on together. Gisela told me that when you were practicing yesterday, you kept saying we, because this was like, she was like, no, you went through this, Andrew, but you felt it was like your whole family.
Yeah, I think I heard one of you say the joke. It's almost like when a husband's like, yeah, we are pregnant, and it's not really the case. You're doing nothing. Yeah, I mean, so I kept saying like we, because for me, it wasn't just me walking through this. It was I'm not going to look over there. It's my entire family. Gisela, constant encouragement. The kids, constant great attitudes, constant understanding, love, care, concern. I mean, I even think of like when I fall asleep on the couch and somebody's just throwing a blanket on me. Just like little things like that. Like throughout this all, they couldn't have been any more amazing. And that's just another thing. For me growing up, I never really experienced love, care, and concern from family. For me to now have this life where I have a family who's giving me that, and then outside of that, grace, and someone like Justin who's loved beyond I can even comprehend, is just another sign of God's love as a father in ways. So that's why I say we.
And something I was not aware of, as you were going through this process is that when that kidney replacement happens, that isn't the end of the journey. You still have to think about future kidney health. And I'm wondering if you can share a little bit of, Bob couldn't be here today, sadly, but a little bit of how does Bob Kratz fit into this whole story of yours?
Well, I want to get to Bob Kratz, but I unfortunately have to show this. This was the day.
That's right.
And just to say, like, I just want to add one note. You talk about, like, the determination and the love. Justin kept saying to me, I can't wait to go in the room and see you the day of surgery. And I was like, oh, okay, not knowing anything of what the surgery was going to entail. And so this is the day, this is the night. He was in surgery first, he was in surgery longer, okay? I'm in it, I don't even remember half of this because I was just coming out of anesthesia. So I claim no responsibility for what I'm wearing.
Well, explain to people what you
He
are.
looks great
Yeah,
in that
okay.
hat.
So I am a huge
What
New
you
York
are.
Mets fan. Unfortunately, this year. You can boo me because I'm going to boo them too. Okay? But Justin's a huge Phillies fan, and I would have done the same thing if it was reversed. If I was giving him the kidney, he was getting a Mets hat. But just seeing him walk in that night, knowing that neither one of us could physically really move at all. Me, no way. Him, barely. He was just grinning and bearing it the whole time and lying to me.
I was moving fine.
Yeah, okay.
I think Gisela was kind of surprised.
Should we bring
you
Sarah up
couldn't-
here?
Yeah, that you couldn't move as well as me. I think that was her comment.
Yeah,
I think I remember her saying something like that.
Yeah, I
Why-
wasn't moving at all.
No.
And I just remember him rolling in, and just that still that thought, that picture there. You got them wearing the Team Rodriguez shirts. It's incredible because it's God through people showing himself as faithful, loving, and kind. And you see that. And when your eyes see that, you're just amazed. So just seeing you walk into there, I just remember being like, this is incredible, just to see how I was doing. That was Justin's heart, his attitude the whole time. So that was pretty incredible. And then to answer with, I don't know if you want to add anything to this before
No,
I go.
I think there again, it was, we wanted to see who could get up first, and I won that one too.
You won that one. He won a lot. He was
I won
walking
it was
before
about,
me.
and I say this all sarcastically because really, again, it's like Andrew was talking about his family. My family supported me so much through this process, and even this church family. And again, everyone who prayed for us, I got cards. I mean, it was just amazing, the support. And again, just being able to serve in this manner is amazing. But it comes back to this community supporting us and all the prayer, because it really it wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it did if it wasn't for everyone praying for us and just God having his hand in all of this. So.
And then what was really neat, even on top of all this amazing stuff, was God had another thing to share. And it was about, I believe, a couple weeks before the surgery, I get a text from Bob Kratz, who attends our church. And in it, he's basically sharing that he's going to be going in for kidney surgery. He's kidney transplant. He's going to be donating his kidney in January. So this was in November, so he was doing it in January. And you talk about providing means when you don't even know how you're going to get it. He says he's doing it because Penn Medicine has something called a voucher. And if you donate a kidney, you can take that voucher and provide it for someone who will need it in the future. So not only did Justin show love and care and concern by following God by donating his kidney to me now so that I can live healthy now, I know that when the time comes later down the road, I already have that for me through the sacrifice and love of Bob, who not only donated his kidney to help someone in Massachusetts live a healthy life, but it's almost like a double portion, right? We talked about it last week, that double portion, that double blessing of then also providing for me down the road when it's needed. It's just a testament to how the Lord is good and does good in so many ways.
And you guys have consistently...
And that's Bob.
There's Bob, yes. Bob wanted to be here today,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a beautiful story, and you guys have throughout been talking about that it's a story in which God was going ahead of each of you. And I'm wondering if, as we close, could you just each share a little bit about what God's been teaching you about himself as you've gone through this journey together?
Sure. I think what I've learned through all this is just the peace God gives you in certain situations. I had peace throughout this whole process. And I knew with that peace that I was able to serve in this way, that he was able to use my body. So I think it's just amazing because I reflect on that all the time, just how God was able to use me in that way and just how he provided. And he continues to show me that, and it's just amazing that I got to actually physically live it out. And I think it's something that I'll always have. And it's great. I get to see Andrew every Sunday too, and we get to talk about it, and I get to experience that. And just, again, physically seeing how well he's doing right now and how God provides in that way, it's amazing. So it's just, it is a miracle that this happened, and I'm just grateful and honored, and just it's just amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I would agree to that idea of peace. I also just want to add to see God show his love, his kindness, his provision through people like Justin. I know countless times I would talk to Gisela, and he'd be like, he said this, and he said that, and he's willing to do this. And it's just like everything that was coming out of his mouth, his family, they're like, we're excited to do this. Like, you talk to them all, they're like, we're ready. We're like, we want to do it right now. And it was almost like it was like a party. And you're like, we're going into surgery. And they're like, yeah, I know, aren't you excited? You know what I mean? And you just saw God through them, and he was just reminding me that he's always with us. And the thing I would say to all of you here today, whatever you're going through, whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're concerned with, his peace is real. His love is real. His kindness is real, right? Like, we're up here telling our story, but this story is only possible because of what God's done through our lives. And we get to share it with you to show off how amazing God is. And if you walk away with anything, it's the fact that God provides the means for what you need even when you don't even know you need it. And we've seen that. So I'm just so thankful to God for Justin and his family and just the kindness. It's unbelievable.
And before Dave, I think he's about to share this note that Andrew wrote me, which it's amazing. But another funny story was, he says it was like a party. We showed up to the party early. Andrew did not. So the day of surgery, I wanted to pray with this guy. I wanted to see him, and we're waiting. We're like, where are they? And they ended up taking me back before you showed up because you guys were late. And I thought that was just so funny because it's like an important day.
You want to share why we were late?
No.
I'll share why.
No. You guys can get into that later.
Gisela needed to stop for coffee, which I totally understand because she was going to be my caretaker after surgery. She needed the coffee. And she was great with it, so we needed to make that little Wawa stop, which is why we were late.
It's not like it's Sheets. It's
no,
Wawa.
It's Wawa, so we totally understandable. But I was late to my own party.
No, but it was a good party in the end.
Yes. And so we are going to close with these words Justin asked me to read, which is Andrew writing to Justin. And it's just a testament to the way God works through his people to show his love. This is Andrew writing, "Through this all, I have viewed you like a brother to me, the way you have shown me concern and love. I'm definitely looking forward to giving you a great big hug as you stroll down that hallway in your gown, eternally grateful for this gift. This is an incredible gift you are giving to allow me to get healthier and enjoy the days with my family. I pray the Lord will honor this blessing for you and for your faithfulness. The Lord bless you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Sincerely grateful, Andrew Rodriguez." Why don't we just take a moment to pray for you guys? Let's pray for these guys as we move forward. Father, thank you for your goodness. Thank you for showing us your love through showing us what you've been doing in these guys' lives and in Bob's life and in their families' lives. You've given us a front row picture of the evidence of your goodness as we just sang. And I pray for each of them that you would continue to give them good health, that you continue to preserve Andrew on this journey. And I pray for people here who are going through their own struggles, their own trials, wondering where you are in the midst of it, that this would be a reminder to them that you are there with them, you will never leave them or forsake them, and that you may in fact be working right now in a way that they have no clue about. Thank you for your sovereign goodness and your self-sacrificial love for your people and for the world. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.